Hello there. I'm currently in the Emirates Lounge at London Gatwick, waiting to board a flight to Dubai on my way back to Auckland. And the champagne they're serving here is Laurent Perrier's La Cuvee non-vintage. Laurent Perrier claim to be the largest independent champagne house, and they're based in the countryside near the village of Tours-sur-Marne. As well as Laurent Perrier, the company owns a number of other champagne brands, including dcamw, Salon and Delamotte. The house dates its founding back to 1812 and took the name Laurent Perrier in 1887 when Mathilde Evangeline Perrier, the widow of the former cellar master there, Eugène Laurent, took over the running of the company upon her husband's death. The success of the modern company, however, dates to its ownership by the Nonancourt family, who purchased Laurent Perrier in 1939. Particularly influential in the success of the company was Bernard de Nonancourt, a French war hero. Evidently, he was one of the group who liberated Hitler's wine cellars at the end of the war. Bernard took over the company in 1948 and continued to run it until his death in 2010. Now, the La Cuvee is a rebranding of what was previously Laurent Perrier's Brut non-vintage. This isn't simply a renaming. There's been quite a lot done to try and premiumise the quality of the brand at the same time. Evidently, Laurent Perrier gained access to a significant area of Chardonnay planting, so there's been an increase of Chardonnay in the blend, and that's been coupled to a lowering of the dosage. The wine's name, La Cuvee, references the fact that this is a wine entirely made from Cuvee, the first pressings of champagne. And those first pressings come from the juiciest part of the flesh, the furthest from the skin and the pips. And that's where you'll find the best acidity, which is highest in tartaric acid, has the best sugars, and has the most delicate, elegant flavours. And you'll get less solids in those early pressing juices because the skins haven't been broken up as much at that stage. As is normal for champagne, everything will have been hand-picked, and vinification is done vineyard by vineyard. There is no use of oak either for fermentation or aging going on in Laurent Perrier's cellars, so these base wines will all have undergone their first fermentation in temperature-controlled stainless steel tanks. Also part of Laurent Perrier's approach is to put all the wines through malolactic conversion, an approach that will give them an extra richness and will soften their acidity a little by converting the tart malic acid to softer lactic acid. The blend for this wine is now generally somewhere between 50 and 55% of Chardonnay, with up to 30% of Pinot Noir and up to 15% of Meunier accompanying that. As part of the blend, they will include somewhere between 20 and 30% of reserve wine from at least two previous vintages. And the final proportion of how much is used will vary according to what the wine needs. Laurent Perrier's La Cuvee will age for 4 years in the bottle following its second fermentation, with the yeast lees still in the bottle. That's quite a long period of time, and that's done as part of the maze of cellars beneath the house in Tours-sur-Marne that is the company's headquarters. As I say, the dosage, which is the quantity of sugar and wine that is put into the wine to adjust its balance at the stage of dégorgement, has been reduced. Formerly that was somewhere in the region of 12 grams per litre of sugar, and now they've reduced that to about 9 grams. Therefore, this is a wine that is labelled as Brut. Evidently, viticulture here is sustainable. The wine is made that it's suitable to be drunk by vegans, and I understand it's also a kosher wine. So let's take a look at it, shall we? I've got here a wine that is a medium yellow with maybe just the slightest hint of pink colour. I've had this poured for a little while and there are still fine bubbles consistently rising from the bottom there. So let's see what we can get in the way of aromas from this. Actually, the aromas are very powerful. There's a very obvious toasty, yeasty note at the fore. Perhaps some hints of citric acidity. And all underpinned by quite a fresh citric nature. So let's have a taste. On the palate, the mousse is quite vigorous, there's quite a froth to it, and actually to the fore, there are those quite toasty, yeasty, doughy notes, almost sort of opening up to be a warm, rich brioche note. Sitting behind that, there are some notes of apple, a little bit of green apple sharpness, but opening up briefly to show quite a rich red fruit mid-palate. That said, the finish has more of a toasty nature with a minerally fresh core of acidity that leaves my mouth watering. The wine has some nice length, a decent amount of weight, and some nice complex notes. I'm normally quite fond of Laurent Perrier's richness and some of the aged characters it has, and I think it's the sort of champagne that if you keep for 2 or 3 years in your cellar actually will improve those aspects of the wine. You'll see blossom and the wine will improve from that little bit of extra time aging on cork. I looked at the Wine Searcher aggregated critic score for this wine, and this is coming in at an 89 out of 100. I think that's been a little hard done by. I think I would probably mark that with a 90. Either way, for a non-vintage champagne, it's a wine that has some nice richness and complexity, and it's a very nice start to my trip back to New Zealand. So thank you so much for watching. I do hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, do please press the like button. If you'd like to watch more of my videos, it would be great if you would sign up and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Also, make sure you set yourself an alert, and that way you can be notified every time I publish a new tasting. If you have any comments, please pop those in the comments box below. I'd love to hear your feedback on the wines I'm looking at, the tastings I'm doing, or anything else that relates to that. If you have any friends you think might like to watch the video, I'd be very grateful if you'd pass it on to them. That would be a fantastic endorsement coming from you. So I will leave a link in the notes below to the Wine Searcher webpage that will tell you where you can find this wine and how much it costs. So thank you once again for joining me, and I do hope that maybe you'll manage to make some time and come and join me for another video tasting in the very near future. Until then, bye for now.